In the previous videos, we mentioned about the preparations for the presentations. You need to get yourself well prepared before the presentations. As you know that a good presentations doesn't come without effort. You need to know your limitations, whether you are a good fluent English speaker, whether you can respond instantly to the questions given by the audience, whether you can memorize all the content in your presentations, whether you can effectively interact with the audience. All these you need to take into considerations so that you can give a good presentations. It was mentioned about the importance of the rehearsal, which help you to synchronize between your PowerPoint slide and your verbal presentations, as well as for you to estimate the durations you require to complete your presentations. You need to tune your pace of presentations so that it maintains a consistent pace throughout the allocated durations for you to complete your entire presentations. And you need to be ready to answer the questions posed by the audience. We also mentioned that in some important event where you might need to face some critical questions and answer section, you can actually work extra miles to prepare an additional set of slides as a backup to you in case that some of the questions being asked which you can spot before the presentations and you get the answer well prepared. This is extremely helpful when you actually require some graphical presentations to complement your answers to the audience. And this can significantly boost your confidence during the Q&A section, as well as giving good impressions to the audience that you come prepared for the presentations. We also mentioned that there are limitations with the presentations, especially the time allocated to the audience to comprehend the content of your presentations, and there will only be one time for the audience to go through your presentations, where the audience cannot simply pause anyway and rewind your presentations or revisit your PowerPoint slide during your presentations. Because of those limitations, you will need to make your presentations as simple as possible, not to overburden the comprehensions of the audience. You only need to cover the essential part of the presentations during the main presentation section, which is normally allocated with the durations of 20 to 30 minutes. In the case that the audience have further questions, they may pause their questions during the Q&A sections. Only then you may zoom into the details as necessary depending on the request of the audience. You will need to know your priority during the presentations. This will be discussed in this video, knowing what is more important and what is less important for a typical presentations, as given in the table here. It is more important for the audience to understand the presentations, then they feel that you are knowledgeable. You know that the ultimate goal of these presentations is for the audience to acquire the knowledge that you have as a mechanism to transfer the knowledge. Those knowledge will be useful for them in their futures, and this is a part of the communications within the research communities. Having the knowledge feel you are knowledgeable, it may be important to you, but it is not important to the audience, as it's not going to yield any meaningful impacts to the audience by knowing you are knowledgeable in the topic that you are discussing. Next, you should pay more attention on the structures or organizations of the research, the concept and principles, the discussions, critical inputs and findings, as well as the take-home message. You give the audience an overview at the macro level, as well as some principle-based type of knowledge, which can be easily memorized and recalled even after the presentations. And you should pay less attention in terms of the informations, details, numbers, data, and results. These are the things quite difficult for the audience to memorize, especially when the time given to them to have a look on those informations are quite limited. Normally, each slide will be less than 30 seconds. This is in fact the limitations of the presentations, and this is in fact the advantage of doing the presentations. Your strategy should focus on amplifying the advantage of the presentations instead of trying to overcome the limitations of the presentations. When you pay attention on this part of the presentation, you will need to make sure that the audience manage to grab and can easily recall every single point that you have made during your presentations. Shows the connections between those points, so that after the presentations, they can still get the general idea out of your presentations. Next, it is more important for you to present the essential parts of your topic that you are discussing. You don't have to disclose 100% information. This is nearly not achievable within the limited time of 20 to 30 minutes. Imagine you have your PhD research, which was carried out throughout 3 years of your postgraduate study, to be presented within 20 to 30 minutes. It is nearly impossible for you to present 100% information. Even if you could present all this within 20 to 30 minutes, the audience are also not able to recall everything, and this will distract the audience from the significant part of your information regarding your research, losing the emphasis over the essential parts. Therefore, you should just aim to present 30 to 50%, which is essentials in your research study. You may compromise in terms of the informations. However, you did not actually compromise the quality of the information being delivered to the audience. You have to be aware of this. Even though we do not really pay much attention on the information's details, numbers, data, and result, but in some way you will need to present those in your slides. Only that you don't have to go through it one by one. The emphasis is not there, and when you come to the significant part, such as the concept, principles, critical inputs, findings, discussions, then you have to pay more emphasis to those, going through it slowly with the audience so that they are able to grasp and comprehend every single point that you have made. The presentations will be more effective with the graphical presentations such as picture, chart, table, illustrations, as well as the short notes. Long text is not that effective in your presentations. You don't need to have long sentences. You should just focus on the main point as presented by the keywords. You know that in a sentence, not every word carry the significance equivalent to each other. There are some words carrying a larger weightage in terms of the significance of the information being delivered. Those are known as the keywords or the key points. We are not talking about the perfect English in your PowerPoint slides. The ultimate goal here is to have the least numbers of words, giving you the maximum amount of information to be quickly being grasped by the audience. You may have entire slides with entire paragraph carrying one main point only, as compared with a slide with high concentrations of information and point, but with limited amount of words. You will find the latter will be more effective than the former. Next, you are looking into the consistency and harmony of your presentations. That means in terms of the design of your slide, the layout of your presentations, everything needs to be consistent and they should be harmony to each other. Then you should pay more emphasis on the contrast and then the clear text. The colorful and sharp background of the slide is not preferable, as this can distract the audience. Sometimes your contrast in the text may be compromised by the sharp backgrounds. We did mention about the background in our previous videos. For the maximum contrast, light background is recommended and the text will be in the black color. What you see here, your priority for the presentations, it will be for the effective delivery of the message. Whichever leads to compromising in terms of this ultimate purpose, I feel is unnecessary. Because we are talking about these technical presentations, you want the audience to get the most out of your presentations in terms of the knowledge, as well as something that is useful for them in the future. If you to choose between catchy presentation slides versus an effective presentation slides, you should always choose the effective presentation slide. Make everything simple. You would like to attract the audience towards the contents of your presentations instead of attract the audience towards the fantastic design of your slides. This will defeat the purpose of having the message and informations effectively delivered.